really, I'm wondering on that holistic aspect, Gabe, and then Kathy, if there's some other pieces from that top 10, like Gabe, you mentioned daily crime log, that you can help share maybe how we operationalize this using the Clery Act.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Yeah. So the one thing, if you would choose to do something like an analysis of the seven elements over your Clery program, and it's kind of like, what do you do with it then, right? So I've just offered, in my mind, as I think through it, there are sort of four kind of critical moments where this kind of information could be shared with your senior leadership of like, hey, we've done this. First of all, they're likely going to be impressed that you've kind of went outside the Clery lane to assess your program more holistically. But four real quick ones. One, obviously, the annual security report's coming up fairly soon. I know I and a lot of folks may do a quick presentation or summary to your senior leadership before the ASR goes out. And I know it can often be focused on the crime data and what's gone up, what's gone down. But this is a really good way, especially if you have the opportunity for a quick PowerPoint in front of those groups to add a slide or two on this sort of the maturity of your program and objectively identify any areas. Um, I think the second, obviously, when there are big changes happening and, hazing, stop hazing, all of those things. The third may be right after a training like this, that I was just at this webinar and they had mentioned some of these things. But the fourth, I kind of stumbled upon, and it is to get it in front of them every single day. And so I'd like to think this was done sort of a well thought out, planned operation, but something occurred, and all of a sudden we had senior leadership focused on sort of the incidents of the day, and it was really about a year and a half ago. So what we started doing is in all of my other positions, the daily crime log was just a computerized report being generated. I'm not sure anyone looked at it much. Maybe put it on your website. The local newspapers may be picking up. We went to a different model where we actually send the daily crime log out to our senior leadership each morning. That's how we start our day. In that email, we highlight any cases that may get attention or are particularly egregious. We outline for any of the cases um, what campus partners we shared it with, right? And so we may have four cases that we had to send over to Title IX, eight to go to student life, one to threat, all of those things, sort of outlining those procedures. And it did a few things, really. One, it just shows the coordination that is required and that is being operated on every single day by you all. But secondly, it kept Clery um, front of mind every single day, right? They were hearing and seeing Clery every single day. And then maybe finally, it served as a great reconciliation. So we were sort of, along with maybe making sure the classifications are correct, which is probably something you all are doing or your records manager. It was a way we found out that after we were all looking at this closely, there were some themes, maybe in report writing, where we were missing the boat on classifications, and we could address those themes through training. And again, that goes to the elements. We were able to each day, if we had four Clery crimes and a Clery geography, we were able to point to the four timely warning decision matrix we completed, which I think a lot of us are doing now, documenting why we did or did not issue an alert. And so while 24 hours later wouldn't be ideal, it is a way to make sure that those things are being done every single day. They're being considered. It's brought a lot of confidence, I think, in our public safety department, which I'm actually not in, but okay, you got all four of these today, and so it seems simple. And I know historically, again, I used to generate the daily crime log with no narrative or nothing else in it. I don't know that anyone read it. But this one change, it kind of addresses all of the elements that I just talked about, and it's a way to get Clery in daily vocabulary with senior leaders.
And that's some good advice. And if remember, there's also Q&A we'll have at the end. So please, anyone submit your questions or comments, and we'll put that in order to answer. If we don't get to them all, that'll be part of the post webinar materials that we share. And really would appreciate if anyone has other ways that you're able to bring the Clery Act up. And remember, those related risk items institution-wide to leadership, put that in the chat, please. We're learning from you as well as participants. Kathy, what insights do you have based on where we've been headed with this conversation now with indicators and institution-wide risk, and using Clery as a good way to galvanize maybe the administration and leadership?
Sure, Jonathan, thanks. And Gabe, kudos to you. I love what you had to say. And I think that is that's a great model, I think, for a lot of schools to consider. Keeping things front and center, other than just right before October, is a great thing. And anytime you have an opportunity, I think, to get in front of senior leadership to talk about these things, take advantage of that, because that is really important to keep that on their minds. One of the things I would encourage you to do, like, and this is coming from my lens as well, is, I have found so much, even more so lately, that all of the risks that we deal with are very interconnected. Meaning, they hit multiple departments, across our campuses. Clery is one. I mean, Clery could be one of them. And for me, what I'd like to think about, and this is a way that I have found resonates really, really big with senior administrators. I mean, there's a couple of things that big risks that probably all schools are dealing with. It has to do with enrollment. Your enrollment, what's it look like? And your more your financials. So tying things together, like, the overall security program and Clery. I mean, Clery can be such a positive, open book, so to speak. You want to be very transparent, because transparency is going to build trust with, those people coming and the whole institution. But to think about how you tie even Clery and security into those other areas, such as enrollment. I mean, it definitely feeds into that. If your school's not very safe, I mean, it probably is going to maybe impact certain people from coming. But you have to almost say that. I mean, there is a moment where you have got to connect the dots, tie things like security and Clery and all the other things, there's multitude, together with other types of risk to really make it very meaningful. And I would encourage everyone to kind of take those opportunities to do that. I have found that, when you're looking at, like, in our ERM program, we talk about things like that of, the safety of our school is going to play into a lot of other areas. So, but how can you kind of, I think, bring that up in a very positive way is important. You have to think about, I mean, probably, Gabe, you've got an opportunity to do that in the way that you are rolling that out. So I think thinking creatively in those lines and how you
Yeah,
do that is important, as well as what you say.
it really reminds me, we've had conversations about positive key performance indicators for campus public safety and how the Clery Act relates to that. It's not about spin
Right.
and
No.
making things sound good that aren't, but actually there's a lot of what the Clery Act can help pull together in terms of better reflecting how not just Department of Public Safety, but the entire institution supporting the vision, mission, and values.
Right.
And Clery is one of those frameworks. It cuts across all those areas.